Archie Luxury and welcome to the program. And today I'd like to present a very special report compiled by my friend and he's working as a Archie Luxury reporter. He's filing reports with me and I'd like to present this findings which I agree 100% with. It's official. Mercedes-Benz, the automotive equivalent of Tag Heuer, Mercedes-Benz has finally shown the world how you make and sell a car in the very same way that Tag Heuer sells watches. Let me explain, fuckers. Tag Heuer uses clever marketing and a reliance on the history of the old brand Heuer to sell their watches and to justify their high price. But they actually contain ETA or even worse, quartz-based movements. And, God forbid, Japanese Seiko intellectual property. So what you are really buying is a watch with no real horology, a cheap movement and a watch that is overpriced for what it is. People, however, still seem to queue up to buy them, irrespective of this. So I guess Mercedes executives have thought, fuck it, why don't we do a Tag Heuer with our cars? I mean, there are plenty of idiots who buy our cars just because of the badge. Why don't we build some cheap models that the less well-off people can afford, fit them with engines from the cheapest possible supplier and tout them as a genuine Mercedes-Benz? These poor saps will be so thrilled they can actually afford a car with a Mercedes badge, they will be queuing up for them and paying no attention on what is really going on underneath. All the while we are getting richer and the fools buying our cars are becoming poorer fuckers. Some of you may be waiting for the punchline, but believe me, this is no joke. I regret to inform you that Mercedes-Benz have taken their A and B class cars and fitted them with Renault engines. Yes, Renault engines. And not particularly good ones either. The very same engine, in fact, can be found in the Romanian car brand Dacia. For those unfamiliar with the brand, the best way to describe their cars is that they are one step above a horse and cart, but not quite as good as taking the bus. This is an absolute fucking disgrace and a complete disaster. Mercedes-Benz should hang their heads in shame for eternity for this despicable act. This endeavour is purely to make money and make it from those not fortunate enough to be able to buy a C-Class that still uses a Mercedes engine, for at least now. They don't give a flying fuck about the consumer. All they care about is making money. As for the company itself, then this has wiped out any respect I once held for Mercedes. Yes, they did some great cars in the past, but more recent models suffered from horrendous build quality issues, and this new scandal is the icing on the cake. It's like Adolf Hitler was a really nice guy and did some really great things in his life up until he decided to invade Poland and take the world to war. So what exactly are Mercedes doing here? Do they have some long-term plan to start putting inferior engines into other models other than the A and B class? Maybe this is a test, with poorer people being the unsuspecting guinea pigs of their beta testing. Maybe they will start to introduce other outsourced parts. Who knows where this nonsense will end, but the rot has already started to set in. There may be people who cry out that it's only the engine that isn't Mercedes-Benz and that I'm being too harsh. There may be people who cry out and say how Volkswagen has been using engines and platforms for years now with success in its Skoda, Audi and Seat brand cars. There may be others who find Renault as a perfectly acceptable manufacturer and see no problem with them supplying the engines to Mercedes, but they would all be missing the point. You are paying top dollar for a Mercedes-Benz, which is a manufacturer which prides itself on producing some of the best cars in the world. So it should be the highest possible standard and at least actually made by them. So what do these cars from Mercedes really say? Do they say that Renault makes engines good enough for Mercedes? If so, why buy a Mercedes as they are considerably more expensive? And how then could Mercedes possibly claim superiority over lesser brands, fuckers? If Mercedes is looking to sell cheaper cars and the only way to do this is to use engines from another company, then it is confirming that they are unable to design a small and efficient engine themselves. Pretty lame for a company that is so quick to promote its technical abilities as a top car manufacturer though, don't you think? If Mercedes wants to make small and more affordable cars using cheaply sourced parts, then I think they should make a sub-brand and make a clear distinction between the two companies. All that is happening here is they are cashing in on their brand name and not the quality of their product. And that brings me into another recent Mercedes disaster. The compressor engines that had shitty reliability, shitty fuel consumption and shitty fucking performance. Maybe Mercedes can't make a decent small engine, which means they should forget them altogether and concentrate on what they can fucking make. But oh no, they tend to fucking fleece as many people as they can. They fleece the middle class by offering shitty unreliable compressor engines in the C-Class, and now want to fleece the working class by offering them another shitty engine in the A and B class that's not even made by them. But maybe that's the ploy. Maybe when customers complain about their new A or B class heaps of shit, Mercedes can say with a smile, "Fuck you, Mr. Customer, it's not our fault. We didn't design the fucking thing," and use Renault as a scapegoat, just like the Nazi war criminals at Nuremberg, you fuckers. It wasn't us, honestly, it was all Hitler's fault. Another example of recent sneakiness by Mercedes is the interior trim known as Artico, which is fake fucking leather. Now I know there are many companies in the past and present that use a synthetic leather, but none of them are as good as Artico, short for artificial cow, fuckers. Now, why have Mercedes gone to all this trouble to make the best artificial leather? For the benefit of the customer, most people would assume, until you start looking at the forums and seeing time and time again the number of people who believe this to be genuine leather, so didn't ask the salesman and are very surprised when they are told it's not. Very clever, Mercedes. Make something that is so close to the real thing that people won't even question it, cloning them into believing they have bought something better than what it really is. I'm starting to see a pattern here. These are just some of the tactics that Mercedes-Benz are now using to increase profitability and are in no way there to help, aid or benefit the fucking punters. It really saddens me to write this article, and in my head I've seen images of an old pagoda that Archie loves, and cars such as the wonderful Gullwing 300 SL and S-Class cars, but things have definitely changed for Mercedes. I think it's time we all made a distinction between Mercedes of old and Mercedes of new, just as we make a distinction between Hoyer and Tag Heuer. Both were once great, but both are now just fallen angels. And Tag has done the same fucking thing using Seiko intellectual property in their watches. Can you imagine that? A German company going to the frogs for a motor. For a fucking motor. It is a disgrace. I'm Archie Luxury. Tell me what you think. Nice one, fuckers! You fucking get there, Archie! You tell them!